Okay, this is the second series of the Grand Championship. This is modern this time after Bob Debonise took the standard down 2-1. Bob, aka Giraffe, will be on the bottom of the screen for modern, and Oliver King, aka Whiskey Burn, is on the top of the screen. My commentating partner Alex Halkias unfortunately cannot join us for modern, so you're stuck with me by myself. Just to update, both players kept their hand, and Bob is on the play. He starts out with the turn 1 Faithless Looting, discarding Demigod of Revenge and Anger of the Gods. So just a quick look at his graveyard. This is a pretty cool card. So it's a 5/4 flyer that when Bob actually casts one, any card called Demigod of Revenge in his graveyard is returned to the battlefield. Here's Alex now. And Oliver. Okay, I'm joined now. Joined now by Alex.
Yep, I'm back. Didn't think I was going to be back in time, but
Yeah, I managed to eat my dinner down in about 3 minutes, so
yeah.
I'm straight back. Okay, so Oliver's cast a Inquisition. Whoa.
That's an interesting set of cards that he revealed.
Knight's Whisper. Draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. So Bob's not a lot going on, and I'm guessing Blood Moon's gone here.
Yep. Blood Moon's pretty good against the 4-color Death Shadow deck too, so it's good that he gets that out of his hand.
Yes, for our viewers that didn't watch the Modern Finals, my fellow commentator Alex played in it, the Modern Finals against Whiskey Burn, Oliver, and Oliver played this 4-color Death Shadow deck. But I suspect now, because of what we know about Oliver's deck and what we can see from Bob, I would think Oliver is quite favoured here.
From this position, for sure. I'm not sure. I haven't seen Knight's Whisper and Blood Moon together in a deck, so I don't know exactly what he's playing either.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this deck at all. The only card I recognise is the Demigod of Revenge in the graveyard, which...
I didn't see that. I didn't look at graveyards yet.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool card.
It's a cool card.
You just don't see it around in Modern too much.
There was a MTG Goldfish, Seth from their Saffron Olive, did play a Demigod deck, but it was like a budget or brew kind of deck, not a, staple. And now I see a Thoughtseize from Bob.
He's got another Blood Moon.
Or from, yeah.
It was interesting. Interesting on Bob's... Yeah, he discards the Blood Moon there again, so it's 2 Blood Moons down. But it's interesting on Bob's second turn, he had 2 Swamps and a Smouldering Marsh. He chose to play the Smouldering Marsh tapped because he didn't want to play the draw spell, I'm guessing. Anticipating another Inquisition or Thoughtseize. Now, interesting, actually, that did he take the Knight's Whisper there? The Knight's Whispers ended up in the graveyard.
Yeah, he did with the first one. I guess knowing that Bob couldn't cast it and that he had another discard spell in hand, he took the 2-mana castable.
That makes sense,
he
yeah.
The 3-mana next turn.
I didn't look at what he took the first time, so I thought that Blood Moon was a second draw. But okay, so Bob now has 2 Swamps and a Kolaghan's Command in hand.
Yep.
The Swamps will get him closer to the Demigod. And probably what's of concern for Oliver is the Demigod has haste, I believe. Yeah, it has haste.
Yep.
So the Oliver just has to think twice about his life total, I guess.
Because right now, if he gets another Demigod, he's basically has 10 haste damage flying. If he draws and plays another one here at some point, because that one comes back from the graveyard.
And in terms of Oliver's removal, Fatal Push is useless.
Yep.
I assume he's probably has two Terminates.
Yeah.
And
Colligan's command, obviously not useful against killing it at least.
I think they usually run a third removal, don't they? Like a go for the throat or something like that.
Definitely at least post sideboard. I don't know pre sideboard how many removal spells there are. Liliana comes down. Not
Well,
super useful.
interesting in both standard and modern, Bob's shown a penchant for the brews, so to speak. I think he might. I don't know if he'd be familiar with Oliver's decks, because keep in mind these final series are played in the winner of the two groups, so both competitors have not faced each other during the regular season. Although for me, as somebody that basically I don't work, so I basically sit home and play X Mage for 8 hours plus a day. Some of these names are familiar. I recognize Whiskey Burn. I
I've
think
played both of these people in other things on X Mage before, and looks like an Abrupt Decay is his choice of additional main board removal, which is nice against Liliana, but not good against that Demigod later. We see a Faithless Looting.
That's a
Flashed back. Probably just trying to get some more Demigods in there. Find some lands.
It'll be
still have a swamp.
It'll be interesting to see what Oliver does with his fetch, whether he shocks or not. Because
we see an Anger and a Dragon Skull Summit discarded, so Anger not very good against the Death Shadow builds, and yeah, we'll see what he does with the fetch here.
Because it's currently 2, so his Death Shadow will be a 2/2.
Yep.
Which is he knows about the Kulligan's command in hand. But anything below 10 means he's dead to
the Demigod. And he does play it tapped, so he stays at 11. And we did see him traverse for that swamp, getting all of his colors in basics in case another Blood Moon is drawn.
Even without the Death Shadow, he's got I was going to say a 3-turn clock, but now it's a 1.5-turn clock.
Yep, double Goyf.
I think Oliver's too good of a player to not be aware of that 10 life total, so I think he's going to protect that 1 point quite closely. Although Culligan's command end step here can knock him down to 9.
We'll see if he has land into Demigod here, then I think would anything get.
Oliver has no haste and obviously no counter spells. So yeah, a land of Demigod would win it for Bob from here.
He would get close. Oliver could get close if he had a Tarfire in hand. He could do 16 with Tarfire and 2 Tarmogoyfs, but not quite enough without a pump spell on the backswing to get it.
2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 card types in there.
Yeah, the Goyfs are 6/7s, which means there are 6 card types. The only ones left are, looks like Artifact. There's no artifacts yet, and there's no Tribal. Everything else is in one of the 2 graveyards. Tough choices.
Yeah. I suspect... What can Bob do from here? Oh, this one I don't know. We have to zoom in on this. Beseech the Queen. Search your library.
It's find a card.
Number of lands you control. Reveal it and put that card into your hand.
Yep. So he might...
I suppose...
I don't actually know what he's getting.
Terminate,
maybe
to go for the throat. There is
could just be a Fatal Push for the Goyf. with the 1 black untapped still.
Ah, yes, yeah.
Or if he thinks he can live through next turn, and he does get Fatal Push, so there it is, the removal spell for a Tarmogoyf.
So he'll go to 11, still, which will be a 2-turn clock after this one. So
Yep.
2, 4, 5.
I think he will not be cracking that fetch until Bob has passed his next turn on the off chance that there's demigods to kill him. One of these should be, yep, eating a Fatal Push here. So he drops to 11. We've got a tie game now.
Oh,
But another Tarmogoyf. Whew.
1 card left in hand. So if Bob can find some way out of this, Oliver's quite empty, but there's lethal on board now, so he has to do something. 3 cards in Dreadbore.
Dreadbore. Buys him another turn, but we'll see if he has a second removal.
I'm guessing that was a top deck. If he probably searched for the Fatal Push. So he needs another top deck again, or at least a chump blocker. But Oliver did nothing with the 1 card in his hand, so it's probably a removal spell.
And wisely did not crack his fetch as we suspected, because he could still die to those demigods if he did. Let's see. 2 cards in hand for him. A bauble, so just a redraw. Although it does get his Tarmogoyf up to 7 power. For what that's worth.
It'll be interesting to see how Bob sideboards, because he's probably got the colours that line up pretty well against this deck.
Yeah.
Or 7-8.
He's almost got the
1 short of a lightning bolt.
mythical 8-9 Goyf, which is the highest it can get. And interestingly, if he does have a Tarfire in hand and uses it right now, that is lethal, because that's the last card type.
I think there's no reason not to use it here.
No, if he has it, I think he's firing it off.
Yeah, if Bob had a removal, surely he's not taking 7.
Looks like he does not have it, because that would have done it. So, or I guess he still would have been 1 short.
So we're
He would have gotten 2 from Tarfire and 1 extra on the Goyf, so he'd have been left at 1.
Now he's saying, what 1 card left in hand? I don't think
the only thing that would make me say is maybe a Street Wrath,
2.
where you crack the fetch to play it and you're at 10, or you cycle it and you're at 9. So that's the 1 card in his deck that's probably uncastable and uncyclable.
And he's probably thinking that the Street Wraith is has the Swamp Walk as well.
Yeah.
Which says it could be handy here. But, and the other factor as well with that is Bob had to top deck, search for and top deck his last 2 removal spells, so he would need 2 removal spells. He's going to be top decking here.
And he does just pass. We'll see if he gets out of it with this top deck.
3 cards in hand.
Thoughtseize, that's... And let's see if we were right about the Street Wrath here. Nope, just double Fatal Push.
Which is useless.
Which doesn't do anything either. So that was basically 2 life for nothing that he paid there.
I'd be curious to know if Bob actually has the second Demigod in hand.
Yeah.
And he's hanging for that land drop. There we go. He needs to do something now if he's going to do it. He doesn't. So game 1 to Oliver.